Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're talking about my favorite of the anti-aging devices. We're talking about LED light therapy, but we are talking about the next generation, the better version of LED light therapy. And I have a guest. Today I am joined by Bev May Sanders. She is the founder and owner of Maysama. Now, I've talked about Maysama a lot on this channel, and they have moved into a new, very exciting territory, and I cannot wait to share it with you. So let's get started. Hi, Bev. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining today.
Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for having me back.
Oh, I have been really excited about this video now because you have been a very busy lady at Maysama. There has been a lot going on, and I'm really excited to talk to you about it because anybody who comes to this channel already knows, huge fan. I mean, I am addicted to the products. I repurchase them every single month or every couple of months whenever I run out of them. But there's been a sort of a shift, and I'm seeing a change. So when I first met Maysama a year or so ago, and eventually yourself, it was all about heroing one sort of ingredient, one element of your range of skincare products. And that was around the green Rooibos, right?
Yes.
And I personally really bought into it. And the reason I use your serum, your press serum every single day is in conjunction with my LED light therapy, which I do every single day. But this year, wow, it has been a busy year for you. Because
it really has, yes.
We have seen a number of LED devices launched for Maysama. And that's sort of taking you from a skincare brand into the beauty brand space. And before I ask you my next question, I just have to say, I have a little collection of your products sitting over here. And I just have to say that I love them and I use them absolutely regularly. And they have just integrated into my routine and they're brilliant. So thank you for that. But why? Why the transformation? How did you get to this point?
I mean, it's a really good question. And you're absolutely right. We have transitioned from a skincare brand into a holistic beauty brand. And I mean, Maysama originally was already associated with the red light therapy space on account of our hero ingredient, the aspartame-enriched green Rooibos extract, which amplifies the effects of LED. And, we've spoken about that on your channel before, and that we've put research behind that. And we did the study, which showed that it did work. And then beyond that, it's kind of a question of, well, why does it work? And that's the element that we want to put a little bit more effort and energy behind this year. So we've actually started a new research collaboration with the Nelson Mandela Institute South Africa, which is our chosen research partner. So I've had various conversations with different photobiomodulation scientists like Andre Sommer and Dr. Michael Hamblin. And it was the conversation with Dr. Michael Hamblin who said to us, Bev, yes, lots of things are labelled as antioxidants, but actually it's probably not the antioxidant potential of Rooibos that's giving you these results. And I was thinking, really? And within a few minutes, he's kind of fired some papers over to me that talked about how Rooibos, or aspartame, the main flavonoid within Rooibos, has the ability to really kind of improve mitochondrial energetics, so mitochondrial respiration. That's one side of it, and we know that produces more ATP. And then there's another side to Rooibos, because we've talked about green Rooibos being used in the pharmaceutical industry to treat diabetes because it has this ability to lower blood sugar. So it has this ability to kind of alter substrate metabolism. I know this sounds a little scientific, but it's important because there are different energy pathways. So we've got this energy pathway that produces ATP from mitochondrial respiration that lots of people have talked about on YouTube. And then we've got this alternative pathway called glycolysis. And when we're talking about skin rejuvenation, it's actually glycolysis, that pathway that produces all the building blocks that we need for cell rejuvenation. Because you don't just need energy, you don't just need ATP, you need amino acids, you need lipids, you need blah, blah, blah. And you get this from this alternative pathway. And this is what's happening with the Rooibos, that it has three actions. We've got the antioxidant capacity that we've spoken about that helps to buffer free radicals. That is relevant. And many antioxidants will help with red light therapy because they're antioxidants. But then we've got this ability to improve mitochondrial energetics, so increase the amount of ATP produced. And then we've got this ability to drive glycolysis as well, which produces the building blocks that we need for cell rejuvenation. So it's really exciting. And that's the collaboration that we are setting up now with the Nelson Mandela Institute, that we want to get data behind that, because there is, there are scientific studies that show that Rooibos has all this capability, this functionality, but bringing it all together as a story in combination with red light just kind of builds that picture.
So it's like it just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it?
I know, it does.
The Green Rooibos story just gets better and better.
And to answer your question, why have we transformed from this skincare brand through to this beauty brand? Because it's all become about the red light therapy and how Rooibos amplifies the effects of red light therapy. So Jodie asked me, what's your brand mission? And it's always really been about optimizing skin health. Now, that was through skincare, but now we can do it through red light therapy combined with green Rooibos skincare, knowing that the two work together.
Synergistically together.
Yeah, the green Rooibos is a co-treatment for red light therapy. And I think that's really exciting. So it's bringing that together as a holistic brand. So I have been working very much on introducing the LED beauty devices. And also because it's taken me personally on this journey, I have learned so much about photobiomodulation, about red light therapy. And you know me, my background was science, so I love to stay
first in that science space. Exactly.
Yeah. So I love to stay connected to the science, and this is my bread and butter. The more I read, the more I want to learn. But it's not just learning for myself. I think where Maysama is kind of setting itself apart from other beauty brands is that we want to help educate people, because, there are brands giving these red light devices, but there isn't much education around it. And from what I'm learning, I think there's an opportunity to empower people and help them to optimize their own skincare protocols and red light therapy protocols. So we know now that this less is more approach is better, that there is this optimal window for skin rejuvenation between kind of 2 and 10 joules per centimeter squared. That's an energy density or fluence that people talk about.
Yeah.
So I think previously, people have said, well, if we use this and this, maybe it's too small to have an effect. Actually, it does have an effect. You need so little to have a biostimulatory effect. And with the general rules of pharmacology, you work to minimum doses, you don't work to maximum doses. There will be exceptions to the rule. I think if we're looking at pain treatment, if we're looking at muscle recovery, that's a different bag. That is not the space that Maysama is in. I'm purely looking at targeted treatments for skin rejuvenation. But I think there's a huge opportunity. When you look at the market, there aren't enough low-cost at-home beauty devices with LED incorporated. And that's the space that I'm looking to fill. There's a huge opportunity there. I make minimum margins with my brand, Mary, but I want people to be able to get their hands on things that they can use and make a difference to them. So I've got an opportunity to do that now.
Yeah. And I know you feel that way, and I know it's legitimate. And even the whole starting of Maysama was a personal thing for your own skin journey, which helped you to connect with other people that were having similar problems. I know that you've had challenges with finding things that your skin can tolerate and whatnot. So everything you've created is really to help people on their journey of skin health. Now, this is the really exciting part. Now, first of all, you moving into LED did not surprise me. It very much excited me because it was an automatic link that made sense, because what the stuff that you were creating was helped to enhance it. But you're actually doing something different. And this is the crux of this video for me, was talking about why your LED, why your red and near infrared LED is different from what other people are doing. And those who do not know this yet, what Maysama has brought to the market is pulsed light.
Yes.
And that's something different. And I've noticed it in the devices that I've been using, and it's a different type of technology. It's the same, but it's different. And I would really like to understand more about why pulsed light is potentially better or different, or however we I'm here to learn. What's the benefit of using the pulse light versus the continuous light?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it is one of those upgrades that I want to educate people about, and how you can lift your red light treatment up a level. You know, you might have been using red light for some time and kind of plateaued, and like, well, what do I do? Do I dip out? Do I stop and start again? Or is there something different that I can do? There is something different you can do. There's something better you can do. So I think it's kind of been overlooked, because, you know, when you read about, if you just Google generally pulse light with red light therapy, do I need it? There's lots of information out there saying, well, you know, it was developed for the carbon dioxide laser to kind of help reduce tissue overheating, so that they could use the lasers for longer and not worry about tissue damage. So they say, well, you don't need that with low level light therapy, because you're never going to be in a situation where the intensity of the light is high enough that you're going to get tissue overheating. And that's absolutely true. We're not going to have that. But it's not about the disadvantages. What's been overlooked is the advantages, the benefits of pulse light. And this came to me from a conversation with Andre Sommer. So Andre Sommer is the scientist, the German scientist who wrote that original paper about green tea and red light, a powerful duo for skin rejuvenation. You may recall that. They kind of kick-started the whole thing about green tea and red light on YouTube. So we've had several discussions with Andre, and it was Andre that said to me, you really should be using pulse light. And I said, well, why? He said, well, we are using pulse light in our studies, and they are doing, I mean, he does some stuff around skin rejuvenation, but most of their work is around treatment of Alzheimer's and chemotherapy. So drug delivery systems for chemotherapy. And ECGC, which is that's epigallocatechin gallate, is green tea as we know it. It's the main flavonoid in green tea, is an anti-cancer drug. So they use ECGC from green tea within this drug delivery system. And he explained to me what happens. So he said pulse light increases the uptake of green tea. So Andre explained that what happens when you shine the red light on the cell expands, because the cytosol, the fluid inside the cell, increases in volume. So it makes the cell bulge. But when you turn the light off, so pulse on, pulse off, the cell contracts. And when it contracts, everything that surrounds the cell in terms of micronutrients is just sucked into the cell. So he said, literally, you make the cells breathe. They breathe in, they breathe out. And when they breathe in, they breathe active ingredients, whether that's
where this is going.
whether it's a skincare active ingredient into the cell. So he said, you should be using this, you know, with your skincare regime, because it will give you an advantage. So that was the first thing, which I thought was absolutely fascinating.
Really, really interesting. Okay.
So
Got it.
you know, one
of ingredients in your skincare. Nice.
Yeah. So this is an interesting thing, because I've noticed a change in the narrative that's out there. You know, there was this whole narrative of red light therapy must be used on clean skin.
Yep,
I don't know whether you've noticed, but other brands are starting to change their narrative on this now. So there is every reason to apply serums before red light therapy. And when I say serums, in general, I'm talking about water-based serums and gel-based serums. You know, serums that have active ingredients in that the red light is going to help your skin absorb. So there's an advantage to that. Anything that's got emollients in it, you absolutely would do after your red light therapy.
Yeah.
Because the emollients will reduce the light penetration. So that's to lock your active ingredients in. Okay. Yeah. But I don't know whether you've noticed the narrative is definitely changing. And I'm quite proud. I think Maysama has been leading that discussion.
Awesome. And it's really funny, because before I met Maysama, I was using LED masks and things for years. I didn't put anything on my skin because that's what they said to do. And that was the really big switch for me, was understanding more about green Rooibos and the role that it played. And here's even a better role for that. You know, initially it was just, in my view, it was protecting my skin. That's why I started to use it. But I also knew that it was making it more effective. But to now know that Pulse can actually help to absorb even more effectively, it's like it's taking it up yet another notch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's two sides to this. So the red light therapy helps absorb the active ingredients from your skincare. But then also when we're talking about Maysama, green Rooibos pressed serum, we know that that particular active ingredient, which is the aspalathin within Rooibos, helps to amplify the effects of red light therapy for those reasons that we discussed earlier. So yes, by all means, you can use a hyaluronic acid serum or even a vitamin C serum if it's in an appropriate formulation, not an oil-based serum, for example. You can apply those before red light therapy, and the red light therapy will help absorb those serums. The green Rooibos applying before red light therapy is about amplifying and accelerating the action of your red light therapy. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yep.
Good.
Fantastic. So Bev, are there any studies, any papers, anything that is around pulsed light that perhaps, we can even share with people who have an interest in going a little bit deeper into the sciencey side of things?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of papers actually around wound healing. And I think wound healing and skin rejuvenation have many, many parallels, because if you look at wound healing, there's two things that you need. You need a production of ATP and you need cell proliferation. You need proliferation of those cells that lay down the collagen. Well, hey ho, what do we need with skin rejuvenation? More cells that produce collagen. It's the same thing, but they're different. But you'll appreciate that most of the clinical studies are around wound healing for the obvious reason that they have a medical application. They're more interested in that. So there are certainly wound studies that support that when you use pulse light, you get this acceleration or upregulation of ATP production, more so than when you use continuous wave or non-pulse light in the same study. So it compares one with the other. Then there's actually a really, really big clinical study, one of the largest I've seen, around episiotomies in women. So the cut that they give us after the second stage of labour to ease the birth. 2,500 women in this study. So it's huge. And it uses pulse light, pulse irradiation, 670 nanometer red light at different frequencies ranging from 10, 25, 50 and 100 hertz. So different pulses. So just to explain what we mean by those frequencies, if something has a frequency of 10 hertz, it pulses 10 times per minute. If it has 100 hertz, it pulses 100 times a minute, just so your audience can relate to what we mean by that frequency. So it looked at all those frequencies and continuous wave. And what they found was, with this huge sample set, 2,500 women, that the pulsed frequencies were working in terms of giving a wound healing response. They were working faster than continuous wave. So that is fantastic.
That's so interesting.
Data. It really is. It really is. So I think that is, that's conclusive. There's also interesting data around light penetration, that pulse light improves the penetration of light. So this particular study used melanin filters and looked at the penetration of pulse light and found that pulse light could penetrate the melanin filters better than continuous wave light. And I think that's really, really important, for women of colour. So if they are looking to get the benefits of red light therapy, near infrared light therapy, perhaps they haven't been able to do it as successfully. And pulse light would give them more for their money, if you like.
That's great. That's actually quite
important.
By
Brondon, that clinical studies by Brondon. So that's very interesting.
Okay, so the studies are telling us that pulse light helps increase ATP production. It helps increase cell proliferation, which means it's creating more cells. What else do we need to be talking about here?
Well, we know that red light does that anyway. What the studies are showing is that it does it more than continuous wave when we use pulse light. And I guess the question is, why? Why does it do that? So, let's talk about that. And Andre Sommer explained it to me really well. So we know that biostimulatory levels of red light have an impact, don't they? They impact on the cell and they make things happen, like ATP production, like proliferation of cells. But there's a tipping point, and we've talked about this tipping point before, where extended exposure to red light then can trigger the biphasic dose response. So we get this kind of downturn and your red light becomes less efficient beyond a certain point. And that happens because we get a buildup of free radicals. Now, free radicals are really, really important in red light. I mean, it's the free radicals that actually kickstart the whole process.
Trigger it. Yeah.
Yeah, they act as signaling molecules. So at low levels, we need those free radicals. Really important. But we don't want an overabundance of free radicals. Yeah. What happens there is within the mitochondria, you've got these water layers, so interfacial water layers. And the more free radicals you have, it increases the viscosity of the water, the interfacial water. And what that means is that the enzyme that produces ATP synthase, it's like a little tiny motor, little tiny nanomotor. And if you can imagine a speedboat just going through the sea in water, no resistance, if you turn that sea to treacle, all of a sudden that speedboat's going really slowly. And that's what happens. So you get this buildup of free radicals, and the water turns into sticky water. And the little enzyme that produces the ATP can't work so efficiently. So we get this downturn in the production of ATP. And then we get a downturn in the production of the cells that produce collagen. So this is where you get these inhibitory effects. Now, we don't get that with pulse light. This is a really interesting thing. So when you turn the light on, you've got production of ATP and some free radicals produced, and you turn the light off. And these free radicals have got a really, really short lifespan. So they just dissipate.
Okay.
Turn the light on again, more ATP production.
It's almost like a wave, and then it goes down, then a wave, and then it goes down.
Exactly that. Okay. So you don't get
going up to the tip of free radicals.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
So it means that you get effectively more ATP production for longer, and stimulation of the cells, reproduction for longer. I mean, there obviously will be a point where you can't just keep increasing ATP forever, because the cell doesn't want, massive amounts of ATP.
It only needs so much. It's like it's full. It needs to stop.
Exactly. It'll work to its capacity. Well, that's enough. Thanks very much. Yeah. So there is a point where you don't need any more. And that's hormesis. Everything happens in balance. But it does allow the red light to work more efficiently, because you get this upregulation of ATP production and more cell proliferation for longer, which has pro-aging benefits. We've got more cells to produce collagen. So that's the exciting thing about pulse light.
So fascinating, and it is incredibly exciting.
It really is. It really is. And whilst it is out there, I have seen some red light devices with pulsing. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody knows why it's important. So I really want to help, share that with people and say, there's something better you could be doing.
All right. So let's recap. Why is pulse light so good? Let's talk about the benefits of that. We're going to put it right up on the screen so that everybody can see. This is why right now I am addicted to pulse light. What are the benefits?
Okay. Number one, better light penetration. Okay. It's what I call the Heineken effect. I kind of joke with this. It allows the light to reach the parts that other lights cannot when you're using pulse light. That's what I call the Heineken effect. Do you have Heineken in Ireland?
Of course.
Oh, just checking.
Everywhere, isn't it?
Number two, it improves the uptake of your skincare active ingredients. I think everybody understands the breathing.
The bigger and the smaller, and it takes in. Yeah.
Breathing in active ingredients. That's an easy one for everybody to get their heads around and remember. Mm-hmm. Number three, it upregulates ATP production. More energy, the cell can do more things.
So this is more than just continuous light, even more.
Even more than continuous light, yes.
Okay.
Number four, it accelerates cell proliferation. Fibroblasts. We need more fibroblasts to produce collagen.
Yep.
More so than continuous wave light.
Okay.
And number five, it mitigates the overabundance of free radicals. Excess free radicals lead to oxidative stress. Excess free radicals, everybody knows, are not, great for aging. So we want to mitigate an overabundance of free radicals. Pulse light does that for you. So 5 main things.
Amazing. Okay. So on that note, what new things might be coming down the road for Maysama?
Let me think, Mary. Something along the lines of this.
Okay. I just have to say to you, so to my viewers and the guys watching this right now, there's a new love in my life. And it's funny because a panel has been something that has been on my radar for quite some time. And I just think because the usability is quite different. And you and I've talked a few times about this. And some people, I mean, it probably does come down to personal preference. Some people don't like masks on their face. It has not bothered me in the slightest. I have used masks for years with no problem. But this, I am absolutely hooked. And I think I've had it for about a week maybe. And I've used this every single day since that point. And it's interesting because on the other devices that have the pulse light, it's not intrusive at all. It's on your head. I use this thing all the time. I love it.
Yes, sure.
They're so, there's a minor interference. This guy is in your face, right? Like literally in your face.
It's distracting. Yes,
It is, but I'm becoming quite used to it because we'll talk in a second about how you learn to adjust to it because it does take a period of adjustment.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's me, Bev, or not, but only in the span of a week of using this, I feel that I have noticed a difference, sort of a brightness. There's sort of a clarity to my skin that sitting in front of this. Now, I have been doing it personally on 2 different sessions. I do one just for the face and then I do one just on the neck, sort of coming up from the bottom.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm sure I don't need to. If I probably moved it back, I'd get them both, but I don't know. I'm kind of digging it. So I'm making sure that they're not overlapping. I'm able to kind of control that. But I think that the instructions were very helpful because to just turn this baby on that pulse light right in your face, it takes a bit of getting used to. So
yes,
it does. And maybe let's talk about that for 1 second, just to say to the viewers, and I'm hooked and I wanted a panel and I'm glad I never got another panel until this has come out because it's given me an opportunity to combine a new technology that I'm not seeing absolutely anywhere else in this format. It sits on my desk here. I do it every evening after I've washed my face and I've put on my Maysama serum and I've waited the 20 minutes and then I use it. And I just feel that something special is happening. I'm going to say that. Now, tell us a little bit about the usage, just to cue people up a bit so that, they know what's in it. It is a period of adjustment because it is like it's like a disco ball on steroids.
It really is. It really is. I mean, I always compare it to, driving down the road on a sunny day and all of a sudden you go through like a tree avenue and you get this kind of flickering of the sunlight and you reach for your sunglasses because it's kind of like, oh, it's quite distracting. And pulse light is like that. So it's an adjustment. So the first thing I say is wear goggles. I know you're choosing not to, and that's fine, Mary, because we've discussed
I just can't find them
before that, there's lots of data out there that red light and near infrared light is fine for the eyes. It's beneficial for the eyes. At least I am convinced from the information that I've read. But I do use goggles with my pulse light because I do find it distracting to the brain. So firstly, wear your goggles. Secondly, don't try and do it all at once. You have the ability to do continuous wave with this. Why not just work with what you would normally do for your treatment? So if you're used to doing maybe a 6 or 7 minute treatment, just add 1 minute of pulse light onto the end of your treatment and just use that to absorb your skincare and get used to pulse light. And then when you've got used to that sensation, you can then drop a little bit more of the continuous wave and add in a bit more pulse light. So we've got a timer on here, which is 1 minute, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, and 9 minutes. I normally recommend a 7-minute treatment plan, starting with 1 minute continuous wave, followed by 6 minutes of pulse light. Now, the reason I do that 1 minute continuous wave is because we talked about the fact you do need those free radicals initially to kickstart the process. So do that anyway. But before you can throw yourself into this 7 minute of 1 plus 6, you might want to do 6 plus 1, and then and then 3 plus 3, and then eventually you'll get to 1 plus 6, and that's how we do it. So there's that side of it. There's also other tips and tricks. Sit in a well lit room. If you sit in a dark room and put the red light on, it's very bright. If you're in a well-lit room, it's not so bright. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And then the last one I would say is if that's your panel in front of you, just look slightly to the left for half of your treatment and look slightly to the right for the second half of your treatment. And that way, it's not going directly into the retina because, obviously you've got goggles on, you are blocking out most of it, but you will still feel or see,
You
if
do.
you like, the pulse. You will
You
still
do.
see it. But if you
Yeah.
turn slightly to the left and slightly to the right, you'll be amazed actually what a difference it makes. So those are my top tricks for kind of adjusting the pulse light.
That makes great sense. So I'm at about 2.5 minutes pulse right now is where I am. And I'm just
Yay.
slowly building it up. And I just find that the more I do it, the less startling it is, I guess,
Yes.
and I find the time goes by super quick and I'm listening to podcasts or listening to YouTube videos or whatever. And it's just, I think it's fantastic. So well
Thank you.
done.
Thank
Yay.
you. And we
Can't
should
wait to
give
see
this
what you're
baby
up
a
to.
name. You know, it's the Pulse 40 LED light panel. So Maysama Pulse 40 LED light panel.
And is that available everywhere now?
It's available in the 5 markets that we sell into, which
Nice.
is the UK, EU, and US, Canada, and Australia. Just work that out.
Perfect. That's perfect. So, guys, go check it out. I'll have the details to this down below. I do also have a discount code if you're looking to purchase, and I'll put everything down there. But I am hooked. So, I'm just so excited because I saw it come out earlier in the earlier devices and nobody's talking about it because I go to look it up and there's just nobody talking about it. So I am so thrilled that this is now out there for the masses. Everybody can start to learn a bit more and understand what the benefits are because this is unique. This is awesome.
Thank you.
So guys, talking about this device, now the panel is a much bigger investment than a lot of the other Maysama products, right? Now this is in the 450 region or something, and that's a pretty big investment. I know that not everybody can do it, but there is another one of the products, and I've talked about it on this channel. If you want to go back, I will actually put a link to this down below of the review that I had done on this. This is the Urchin, and this is about as multifunctional as they come. It has a cleansing ability with this incredibly soft silicone head, which is really, really wonderful, removing, the end of the day grime. But when you take that off, it does a bunch of other things now. And one of them is LED. So another functionality in here is electrotherapy. So if you're looking for microcurrent, it has that capability here too. And it also has heat and vibration. And you can turn all of these things off and on. If you turn everything else off, what you have is pulse light. And you can use this with nothing else on it if you're not ready to make that big investment in a panel. And you can use this on your face in the same way that you would use any LED device to do the things we need to do. It can help with the uptake, of course, of your skincare products. And you can stamp it. You probably don't even need to put anything with slip if you don't have microcurrent on there. Isn't that right, Bev?
That's so true.
Yeah. So essentially, you can get the same benefits of the functionality of the pulse light just by using this device without even touching your face. And I think this retails for about 150 euros, dollars, pounds. So this little device is like a freaking powerhouse. And as I said in my video review, I've taken this traveling with me because it's so small. It has this nice little stand for stays inside my cabinet in my bathroom. It's a good, affordable way to introduce yourself to the pulsed light modality.
Exactly.
So if you're not ready to go hog in, and I'm ready to go hog in, I am like the LED queen. And like, this is why I'm like so excited about this, because it is the one modality that I use every single day. And I can't imagine myself not using. So to see these kind of improvements and enhancements and things that are going to make it even better, it's just hallelujah. But this is just another way, if you want to try it, to get it into your routine and see what you think.
Exactly that, Mary. It's a great entry-level product without busting the bank, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And I think, the question comes back from you as well. Is it actually going to work? Something this small? Absolutely it does, because we know now that this optimal window for healing and for biostimulatory effects is from 2 to 10 joules per centimetre squared. And that translates to kind of 10 to around 55 milliwatts per centimetre squared. Well, this little device operates at 20 milliwatts per centimetre squared. So we know you do get a biostimulatory effect from the red light within this device. Do you want to go whole hog? Do you want to go the panel? It's not about necessarily increasing the irradiance. I think another thing to understand when you use the panel, you start at 200 milliwatts. If you're 3 inches away, you don't sit 3 inches away. First, you sit 9 inches to 12 inches away. Pulse light, you immediately half that irradiation because it's only on for half of the time. So it takes you back within that biostimulatory window that you want to be in. But the beauty of a panel is that you can just sit there and relax, and you can treat this larger area. So you can do your face, neck and neck all in one treatment. I know that you creatively divided it up, Mary, but that wasn't the intention. I mean, if you're sitting a foot away from it, literally you are doing this space, which is just perfect for where
Probably
we
should
really
do
want to
that instead of
target.
I'm getting closer to it. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
step back.
Step back.
Less
Got
is
it.
more.
So guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining. It might have ended up being a long one, but I swear when I get Bev, in my clutches, I don't want to let her go. So, thank you, Bev, so much for joining today. Like I said, I have been super excited about this. I'm so excited about the launch of all of these products. Like I said, I'm using them all and I just think they're spectacular. And this is just a regular old girl who, doesn't understand the scientific side of things. I'm not an esthetician. I'm not anything scientific. I'm just a regular person trying to find a way to, age gracefully and do it in as natural way as possible. So, thank you for coming and giving us your time today. I know you're a very busy lady. Obviously that shows.
My pleasure, Mary. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy coming on your channel.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. I will see you at the next video. Bye. But we're talking about a new version, a better version, and did I just turn that off?
Did I hear that?
Yeah, I did, but